Earlier this month, President Muhammadu Buhari and other African leaders attended the 2018 Forum on China-Africa Cooperation (FOCAC) in Beijing, China. The gains of that engagement are set to include support funds and loans. China also granted loans to other African nations for investment purposes, but many worry about the impact of such debts on the continent's growth as well as the terms agreed to. Joining us now is Adeni Ukunu, an African affairs analyst. Welcome to Africa 54.
Thank you very much.
Well, over the years, African countries, some of them have taken these loans from China, albeit at single-digit interest rate. Would you say that these loans have had a positive impact on economic development of those countries?
Well, I think I should begin with Nigeria, where Nigeria's leveraged a $500 million loan for the Abuja-Kaduna rail line. That's about 180 kilometers. The project has obviously resulted in what we have. They're sitting in Abuja. And if you also look at the 328 million earlier given to the country just for ICT development, it's called, I think, NatStep 2. That's another positive. Then you want to talk about 3.4 billion collected also for, rehabilitations of Nigerian airports and also some other infrastructure that appears to be ongoing. I have to say that these particular monies collected have been deployed. But if you also look at it, oftentimes these cash inflows is actually, related to the expertise of Chinese, because that's oftentimes a condition for getting the monies that come into the economy.
But, the questions, the concerns where many think they should focus on is the terms and agreements of this loan. Yeah. Do they have a reason to worry?
Well, I think the reason could be worrisome, first from the fact that Nigeria or Nigerians do not really have an inkling about the percentage on the loans collected. So far, the Jonathan administration, particularly in 2014, collected $3.1 billion US. In 3 years, the Buhari administration has actually collected $6 billion US in terms of what China wants to do with the country. So that's about over 3 trillion naira. If we look at that, that's about 15,000 naira that every Nigerian, to say, is owing the Chinese government. That's about the current 198 million that we have. But if you check the rate at which monies are given in China, in 2012, it has its all-time high of over 12%. That's double-digit interest, as it were. But so far, it has remained stable at 4.35%. That's in China. So if we look at that and come into the country, considering the monies we've been collecting, I do not think any loan collected by Nigeria from China should be less than 2.5% in terms of increase. If my figures are wrong, then maybe I should be proved otherwise.
But yes, compared to Western countries, the margin interest rate is a lot better from all of this. But looking at some examples, they talked about Sri Lanka, Djibouti, recently Zambia, specifically the ZESCO electricity project. They think, even Kenya have concerns. Some of them think, look, the conditions, if we default, could be dire.
Well, I think the alternative for you not to collect monies is to manage your resources. Because at the first place, the reason why you go to collect money is because you don't have the financial capacity to deploy so that you can have your infrastructure going. As we speak, Africa still needs about 120 to 160 billion US.
Yeah, but how do these loans benefit us? Because there are those who talk about reading the fine lines. If you're going to execute a contract, do you come with your contractors? How much percentage of local content are you going to execute with those contracts? Do we build, operate, transfer? And those sort of things that we should also be expecting our government to tell us.
Chamberlain, I know you're aware of this saying, he or she who pays the piper dictates the tune. A man that is hungry would first of all want to assuage the hunger, then you can talk later. Nigeria is cash-strapped. We got out of recession, technically, at over 0.5%. That's maybe in June, July, or April this year. The health of the economy is still in need of more blood that will strengthen it. Blood in the connotative sense now. But I tell you, it is not the same as when you go to the World Bank. It's not the same as when you go to maybe Africa Development Bank. So I should say here that as much as we need to worry, I'm saying again, how much of alternatives do we have as a continent and by extension as a country, so that we are able to call the shots? Now, if you look at it, oftentimes before these monies are given to Africa, the decisioners will give you this money, but of course, we have to deploy it accordingly with our own expertise. So when you have that, of course, they will employ some of our local operators here, but it's a challenge here. You're talking about expertise that are in tandem with 21st century expectations. You're talking about experience, you're talking about, you know, mind-blowing infrastructural development that has happened even in their own country that we've not been able to replicate as one of the leading countries on the African continent. No alternatives here, Chamberlain.
Mr. Adeniyi Kunu, thank you for talking to us today on Africa 54.
Thank you.